Sri Lanka's long-serving leader concedes defeat to a former ally in the country's presidential election. After a decade tainted by war and allegations of corruption, can the new man in charge usher in a new era for the Asian island nation? This is Inside Story. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Hazem Seeker. It was supposed to be written in the stars. Sri Lankan President Mahinda Rajapaksa called snap elections on the advice of his astrologer, seeking an unprecedented third term in office with the opposition in disarray. But in a dramatic celestial shift, Health Minister and one-time ally Maithripala Sirisena has eclipsed Rajapaksa's political ambitions to take his job. The outgoing president conceded defeat as the result became apparent, marking the end of a divisive decade-long rule. His office saying he was bowing to the wishes of the people. Sirisena is now promising sweeping reforms by transferring many of the president's powers to Parliament. From Colombo, Al Jazeera's Charles Stratford helps get our discussion going.
The man who promised to break what he described as Mahinda Rajapaksa's autocratic rule emerges into a media scrum. Earlier, Maithripala Sirisena, previously a long-time ally of the outgoing president, spoke to opposition presidential candidates inside the election commission.
I would like to ask the people of this country, those who did and didn't vote for me, the true honour of this victory is behaving peacefully and calmly and not bringing either mental anguish or pain to anyone. We need to let everyone in this country share the joy of this win.
Rajapaksa, who has ruled this country for nearly 10 years, conceded defeat in the early hours of the morning. He left the presidential secretariat under tight security. He said he wanted to respect the people's decision. Rajapaksa remains popular with those who credit him for ending a near 30-year war with the Tamil Tigers in 2009. He has overseen the growth of an economy that is now worth $76 billion. But he and members of his family, some who held top positions in his government, are accused of corrupt dealings with China and not looking after the basic economic needs of his people.
The manifesto that was developed by the opposition is extremely detailed. It promises a 100-point plan of change which is going to fundamentally reverse the way that the Rajapaksas have governed Sri Lanka over the past 10 years. So the manifesto addresses corruption, cronyism, abuse of power, the undermining of the judiciary, the undermining of the political system, going down to the level of the undermining of entry into universities and schools.
Sirisena supporters were quick to start celebrating the news that their man had achieved what was until recently considered an impossible political mission.
I'm extremely happy. This is the Sirisena era. I'm happy that we're entering a period of good governance.
Although he won the war, the peace wasn't shared with everyone. We didn't see a change in our everyday lives.
Maithripala Sirisena has promised to abolish the executive presidential powers that gave Rajapaksa such control over the military establishment, the economy and the judiciary. Now the challenge for he and his coalition is vast, but his victory is being hailed here as the beginning of a new political era for Sri Lanka. Charles Stratford, Al Jazeera, Colombo.
So time to bring in our guests then to talk more about this. In London, we have Charulata Hogg, Associate Fellow with Chatham House and a researcher on Sri Lankan domestic politics. Joining us on Skype from Colombo is Jehan Pereira, Executive Director of the National Peace Council of Sri Lanka. Good to have you both with us. Jehan, let me start with you. I mean, as we said in the introduction there, it seemed almost a foregone conclusion just a few months ago that Rajapaksa had this sewn up. Obviously, that hasn't turned out. Why do you think that happened? I mean, where did it go wrong for him?
I think the main reason was that the opposition was able to woo the General Secretary of Rajapaksa's own party to join them. And he did join them because he felt that under Rajapaksa, the ministers, including himself, did not have power to do what they wanted, to serve the people, because the Rajapaksa administration centralized power totally in the president and in his close associates, including his family. I think that was the main blow to the Rajapaksa ambition of continuing to stay in power for the next term of office.
Yeah, I mean, that's a valid point there, isn't it, Charu Latahog? Was this a vote against Rajapaksa as it was as much a vote for Sirisena?
Well, I think the main issue here, as Jehan has said, was that the opposition was strong. And what tilted the votes in Sirisena's favour was the fact that he brought together a very broad rainbow coalition, which included the very right-wing Buddhist party, the Jetika Urumaya on one side, the Tamil National Alliance on the other side, and also the Sri Lankan Muslim Congress. So he has brought together a disparate bunch of people in opposition to Rajapaksa. And I think the TNA, the Tamil National Alliance, and the fact that the Tamils were allowed to come out and vote became the main tilting factor against Rajapaksa and in Sirisena's favour.
Jehan Pereira, what should be Rajapaksa's legacy? I mean, you talked there at the beginning about the perception of that he centralized power and the authoritarian rule and so on, but his supporters will say that history should remember him as the man who ended a decades-long civil war in Sri Lanka. How do you think Sri Lankans should remember Rajapaksa?
Well, you have said it, that people here, especially the Sinhalese majority, see him as the person who did what many thought was impossible. He led the Sri Lankan military to defeat the LTTE and reunite the country. They appreciate that very much. And that goes across the board for the Sinhalese majority. However, what he failed to do was to reconcile the Tamils with the new situation. And the ethnic division continues worse than it was before.
Charu Latahog, how do you think Rajapaksa should be remembered?
Well, absolutely, as Jehan was rightly saying, and you also pointed out, the defeat of the LTTE is he
This is the Tamil Tigers you're talking about, the LTTE.
Yes, the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam. But I think he also has to bear responsibility for the way in which the war was conducted, the war crimes that occurred, the fact that the Tamil community did not benefit at the end of it. They had no share, they received no, absolutely no political autonomy. There was no package on offer to them. And the ultimate goal of achieving peace and reconciliation through the defeat of the LTTE was not realized by Rajapaksa. That is his responsibility.
Well, joining us now from London, we have Kumar Kamarendran, a Tamil activist and member of the British Tamils Forum. Thank you for being with us. So I want to bring in now where the Tamil community stands in all of this, because the reports say that 73% of Tamils had voted for Sirisena. So was this so much the fact that he wasn't Rajapaksa, or do they genuinely believe that Sirisena will bring in a new era for the Tamil community?
First of all, we like to congratulate the new president, Mr. Sirisena, on his election victory, or rather defeating Mahinda Rajapaksa. Mahinda Rajapaksa was a dictator. He did not believe in democracy. There was no freedom of expression under his rule. It so happened that yesterday was the 6th death anniversary of Lasantha Wickramatunge, who believed in expression, freedom of expression. We know what's happening in Paris. It's so terrible. Thoughts are with the families and friends of those journalists. Now, in Sri Lanka, a number of journalists have been killed under Mahinda Rajapaksa. So we hope that Mr. Sirisena will carry out a proper investigation into the killing of Mr. Lasantha Wickramatunge and also many other Tamil journalists who were killed by the Sri Lankan government. For the Tamils, they voted Tamils in the north and east and upcountry Tamils, and also the Muslims voted for Mr. Sirisena, mainly because they wanted President Rajapaksa, or the former President Rajapaksa, out of the way. They are very positive. They believe that Mr. Sirisena, although he has said that he will not encourage an international investigation, they hope that, the Tamils, we hope that an international independent investigation will be carried out into the killing of more than 40,000 innocent Tamil civilians by the Sri Lankan government.
All right, just to interrupt you there for a moment, if you don't mind, we're going to talk a little bit more about the war crimes issue in just a moment, because want to get a sense of just who Maithripala Sirisena is. He was seen as a relatively low-profile figure before sensing the chance to seize Sri Lanka's highest office. He was described as being from the old guard, the 63-year-old elected to Parliament in 1989. He has held several portfolios since then and was serving as Minister of Health before defecting in November. Sirisena is a Buddhist from the majority Sinhalese community. He was acting Minister of Defence in the closing stages of the civil war with the Tamil Tigers, and he says Tamil separatists have tried to kill him on at least 5 occasions. So, Jehan Pereira, let me turn back to you on this. Do you think that the new leader will continue with this war crimes case against the Rajapaksa government, given the fact that he is so tied to that government in the past?
Well, he has pledged to address the issue of war crimes and human rights violations. He knows that the international pressure is there on the Sri Lankan government. He also knows that the Tamil people in Sri Lanka want to know what happened to their loved ones. They want to know the truth, and they need to know the truth. However, he has also to be mindful of Sinhalese opinion. At the elections, the rural Sinhalese heartland, the majority still remained with President Rajapaksa. President Sirisena will have to be mindful of that. In addition, where the issue of the war is concerned, virtually the entire Sinhala people would believe that the LTT had to be defeated, and that any price was worth paying for that. That would be the way the Sinhalese think. He has to keep that in mind. He also will keep in mind the international requirement that accountability should be followed through. The Tamil need to know the truth. I think it will be difficult for him to accept an international commission, because over the past few years, the government under Rajapaksa made it out, convinced the Sinhalese and convinced themselves that an international inquiry would be a witch hunt, would lead to the division, the weakening of the government of Sri Lanka and the division of the country. Now, because of that, I think Sirisena would know that an international inquiry would actually polarize the people of this country even more than they are now. He would need to find a way in which to address these competing claims, competing interests, and also reconcile the people. And for that reason, I personally believe that we have to look at a national option. Now, I know that the Tamil people will have very little faith in national commissions because of the past history where they have failed, where they have been whitewashers. But in our case, there is also the possibility that there can be international facilitation, international assistance, such as offered by South Africa, so that a national process does reach international standards.
Charu Latahog, what's your take on this? Do you think this represents a truly new era in Sri Lankan politics? And I say that given the fact that a few months ago, Sirisena was a minister under Rajapaksa. Is there a fear that he's just Rajapaksa under a different name?
Not in the least. I think we have to see this vote as a vote in favor of democracy. It is a vote against authoritarianism. It is a vote in favor of human rights and establishing some kind of a framework, or re-establishing and bringing a framework which establishes the autonomy and independence of institutions like the National Human Rights Commission and independent judiciary. This is certainly a vote for that. So in that sense, we should not see Sirisena as somebody who will carry forward Rajapaksa's policies and his the way his manner of governance. You know, if the people wanted Rajapaksa, they would have voted for Rajapaksa. They did not. In terms of the future and what lies ahead and how Sirisena can break away from the pressures that have been created by this combined coalition of different parties, remains to be seen. He is undoubtedly under a lot of pressure. He has to build the opinion, as Jehan just pointed out, of the majority Sinhalese vote. He has to carry them. At the same time, he cannot let the Tamil community down. The question of justice is important. Whether he can have the political will to allow the investigation to reach the Sri Lankan shores is a different matter altogether.
Kumar Kumarendran, obviously there is the issue of the war crimes, the war crimes case against Rajapaksa. That is a huge concern for the Tamil community. But as far as addressing the issues of the Tamil community beyond that, the feeling that they are underrepresented, how much confidence do you have that Sirisena will address that?
Well, Mr. Sirisena has said that he will repeal the 18th Amendment, the executive powers of the president. So, as it was said, there will be an independent judiciary, because previously the president was appointing the commissioner of police, commissioner of elections. Even the Human Rights Commission was appointed by the president. So, bringing back democracy into the island nation is good for all Sri Lankans. The Tamils have nothing against the Sinhalese people. Most of the Sinhalese people are very nice people. So what we are looking for Mr. Sirisena to do is to work with the international community, with the United Nations, with Ban Ki-moon. Ban Ki-moon actually, unfortunately, he withdrew the UN during a crucial time, knowing that there was going to be an assault, and that resulted in more than 40,000 of our people dying. So what Ban Ki-moon can help Mr. Sirisena to resolve this issue. Mr. Sirisena should also work with the representatives, the Tamil representatives in Sri Lanka, and find a solution to the Tamil people, because the north and east are heavily militarized, and women and young girls don't feel safe to walk out because of army intimidation, sexual violence, sexual rape, and they don't want the army in the north and east. So the Tamils are hopeful that Mr. Sirisena will withdraw the army, although there are reports saying that he was proudly saying that he was the defense minister in the last few weeks of the war, and he will not withdraw the army from the north, and he will not help an international independent investigation, and so on. But
Jahan,
he has portrayed himself as an honorable man.
Jahan Pereira,
so if he's to,
sure, just in the couple of minutes that we have left, I want to move the discussion on, if I can, to some of the economic issues. Jahan Pereira, Sri Lanka still has this very large underclass, many of whom are increasingly frustrated at being left out. What is Sirisena going to do about addressing their concerns?
Well, that will be a difficult issue, because I think Sri Lanka now is very much in debt. It has these big, giant projects which are visible and which the government has shown the people. The people are also proud of it. They think that this is development. but on the other hand, they also know that these big giant projects have not led to a better life for them. But then they are hopeful that in the future, this might come about. And in fact, Sirisena was able to maintain, Rajapaksa was able to maintain a large proportion of his support from the Sinhalese. It is the Tamils and the Muslim vote that who massively voted against him that tilted this election against Rajapaksa. Sirisena would have the challenge of finding the funds, the money to promote livelihood schemes, to enable people-centered development. And we are hopeful that with the new approach of the government, its openness towards the West and towards Japan, that there will be more investment coming in. I think that is very crucial.
I want to put that point to Charu Latahog just in the minute or so that we've got left. Do you expect closer ties between Sri Lanka and the West now, with Sirisena taking power and a tilt away from the investment from China?
Well, certainly there's going to be a realignment of relationships within the sub-region. You know, under Mahinda Rajapaksa, the relationship with India went quite sour. And I think Sirisena is definitely going to try and work towards that, improving that relationship, which will have an impact on trade relations and Indian investment within Sri Lanka. As far as the West is concerned, certainly under Mahinda Rajapaksa, again, relationships nosedived. We had the withdrawal of the general specialized preferences in terms of a specialized tariff that the EU used to grant Sri Lanka, which was withdrawn on account of non-compliance by Sri Lanka on key human rights conventions and principles. So definitely if the human rights situation improves, if the national mechanisms are strengthened, if Sirisena promises to deliver and delivers democracy as he has promised to, we will see the Western approach towards Sri Lanka also changing.
Kumar, we mentioned earlier in describing Sirisena that this was a man who was acting defense minister under Rajapaksa in the closing stage of the civil war with the Tamil Tigers, and he said Tamil separatists have tried to kill him on at least 5 occasions. That's what he said. This doesn't sound like a man who's willing to take on this war crimes case against Rajapaksa when he was part of that government just a few months ago. Is that something that concerns you?
The Tamils in the north, east, and upcountry Tamils and Muslims voted for Mr. Sirisena. And it appears that that's how he won the elections. Without their votes, he wouldn't have won the elections. So we are hopeful that Mr. Sirisena will help the Tamils and the Muslims. Because under Mr. Rajapaksa, there was corruption and mismanagement. The economy is in a really bad shape and cost of living is very high. The economy is actually based on funding from IMF and India and China at very high interest rates. And Mr. Sirisena has actually promised welfare and subsidies, and the SNP are really concerned about this. Now, Mr. Sirisena, we are hopeful that he will stop the land grab and the genocidal agenda of the Sri Lankan government. That's what the Tamils are hopeful of. Mr. Sirisena has portrayed himself to be an honorable man, and therefore we think that he will work with the international community, with India, with the Tamil representation in Sri Lanka, and also with the UN, and find a solution to the Tamil problem.
All right, that is going to have to be the final word. Thank you to all 3 of our guests, Charu Latahog, Jahan Pereira, and Kumar Rendran. Thanks very much for your time. And that's it for another edition of Inside Story. Let us know your thoughts about this show or any other. You can post your comments at facebook.com/AJ Inside Story or contact us on Twitter. Our handle there is @AJ Inside Story. I'm Hazem Sika. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.